Hello, ladies, ambies, and gents. I haven't made any videos in a while. I got to be honest, I've been very busy and still am very busy. I'm doing a master's degree at the moment, and it's very difficult. I really want to make sure I'm concentrating on doing that and not getting too distracted by other things. And so there's not a lot in it for me to make videos when I could be getting on with other things. I wanted to make a video about this topic though because there's a number of anarchists and leftists, although I'm an anarchist, but other leftists are not within my area of influence, who object to who not simply object to the idea of representative democracy, but take this objection to the point of actually refusing to participate in it. And usually they prefer instead some sort of revolution. And I think ContraPoints did a video a while ago where she kind of parodied this kind of idea that that anarchists will often vaguely allude to revolution. They'll say, "Oh, I want a revolution. We should have a revolution," but they won't really go into any specifics as to what they mean. Now, I will defend those people a little bit. A number of revolutionary activities are illegal. So if you're talking to someone on Twitter or something like that, or YouTube, people probably aren't going to go into too much detail about what kind of revolution they're trying to engage in, because it might get them arrested. However, I do agree that a lot of people, I don't think they really know what a revolution is. I don't think they quite understand what it is they're demanding. And to be honest with you, 100%, I do mean 100% of the people I've seen saying they refuse to participate in representative democracy, that is, they refuse to vote, are people I do not think could lead a revolution. I do not think they could do that. Maybe they could be a participant in it, but the idea that they are going to organise, I know the word lead is not popular, but the idea that they could organise a revolution, I just got to be brutally honest, I don't think you can do it. I think most of you are living in a very theoretical world where you think that your passion itself, your passion for a revolution, somehow will translate over into something in the real world, which it won't. If I were to outline my idea, my sort of ideal model for a revolution, it would essentially be something, to give you like the basic overview of it, it would be like an alliance, or a very sort of strong alliance of trade unions, and alongside that a similar alliance of human rights groups. And what these alliances would do is essentially challenge both private industry and the state at any point where it started to infringe on the rights of the people. So, for example, an alliance of trade unions would collectively strike anytime private owners of industry were to start infringing on workers' rights, or start restricting workers' rights, or start making working conditions less and less tolerable. And they would do this a lot more than they do now. They would strike constantly, to the point where they are actually controlling the means of production. You might have like a private owner saying, "Well, I'm the private owner," but the fact is that private ownership ceases to mean anything if trade unions are continually asserting their control over the means of production, if they are continually striking and basically stopping those means of production working until their demands are met. The notion of private ownership ceases to be meaningful. Similar with like state law. If states start making laws, let's say like anti-LGBTQ laws and things like that, if LGBTQ rights groups demonstrate and protest these and cause disruption to the processes of the state, The state can sort of stamp their feet and say, well, we're the state, we get to make laws. But the fact is, if the state's processes are disrupted enough by civil disobedience or whatever kind of activity we're talking about, then their authority as state ceases to be meaningful. They can insist that they be considered the state if they want, but the fact is, it just won't be something that's recognisable if enough people stand up to it. I'm not a Marxist. Okay, I am not naive enough to think that the state or private industry or any sort of like unjust power structure will ever just wither away. It will never just say, well, it seems, these alliances of the people seem to be handling industry and civil matters pretty well. I guess we're just surplus to requirements now. We should just wither away. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I find that incredibly naive. Which is why I don't subscribe to Marxism. So that's where thorny issues like violence come in, like how aggressive should protest and strike action actually be, and the fact of the matter is that people do have to be prepared for a very unpleasant backlash from private industry and from the state, and that's the thorny issue. That's when we start getting into the realms of the quite unpleasant, bloody aspects of revolution. But that really all depends on how it goes about. The thing is, in a country like America, this would take fucking years. Most people in America are absolutely indoctrinated with capitalism from birth, from what I've seen of Americans, even like very left of centre Americans. The liberal types, they think that capitalism is fine as long as it isn't extreme capitalism or anything like that, or that they see a lot of this poverty and suffering in society. They see that as some sort of corruption of capitalism. Like, no, that is capitalism working how it's supposed to work. It is supposed to have an underclass and an upper class, and to deprogram all of that from the American public, God, that is going to take years. Years of just getting people to understand why they should have a revolution. That's what you've got to get done first and foremost. You cannot have a revolution. You cannot inspire a revolution from people who don't even realise they need one. So the long story short here is I'm saying, you should definitely vote in a representative democracy. If you think that makes you a hypocrite, if you think you're saying, well, I'm an anarchist, I believe in direct democracy, so I can't vote in representative democracy, you are no more a hypocrite than you are for having a job where even though you oppose capitalism, a job where you are not controlling the means of production. That doesn't make you a hypocrite. It just makes you someone who understands that you live in the world you live in, and the phrase that goes, ethical living is impossible under capitalism, which it is. You can try your best, but you're always going to have to participate in these systems. You're always going to have to buy things from supermarkets or whatever, where the workers there will not have controlled means of production. You're yourself going to have to do a job where you don't control means of production, at least, until you can figure out a way of bringing about a world where you can control means of production, where workers do control means of production. So it's no more hypocritical than that. The reality is, if you vote in a left-wing government, that is a sort of government that is a lot more likely to put up considerably less resistance to revolutionary behaviour. That's what it comes down to. And I would add that, particularly with an issue like transgender people in America at the moment, as I understand it, the Republican plan is that they will just simply not legally be recognised anymore. That basic right of being recognised as a person who is transgender, if that's going to be taken away, I could not honestly say to a transgender person, look, I'm not going to vote in a left-wing government who will recognise your identity as transgender. I'm not going to do that because, you've just got to wait until I can figure out how to bring about a revolution. A revolution that, like I said before, could take fucking years. And I do, people have been talking about the revolution for as long as I can remember. America is very behind on this. So I would urge you to go and vote. If you have some plan for a revolution, I don't see how that stops you doing that. Like, I don't see how if you vote for the Democratic Party, that suddenly means that you can't then go and wage this revolution. It's not one or the other. So that would be my argument regarding this sort of thing. There is, it's not an ideal situation, but it's you have to work with what's available while you can. So I'm sorry, I hope you probably realise why I script videos now, because I really struggle to just do these things off the cuff. But anyway, I have no idea when I'll next make a video, probably not for a few months. But thank you for watching. Please go out and vote. Goodbye.